The War Council had voted. 6 species, 847 warships, and one shared goal. Earth would become their new colony, whether the humans agreed or not. Admiral Krell studied the holographic display floating above his command table. The blue planet rotated slowly, showing continents and oceans that reminded him of a dozen other worlds his people had claimed. This one would be easier than most. The humans had barely left their own moon. Their fastest ships still burned chemical fuel like primitives. Intelligence reported they had discovered nuclear fission only recently, and their weapons were laughably simple. The transmission is repeating again, Admiral. His communications officer gestured toward the secondary screen. A human female appeared on the display. She wore no military uniform, no decorations of rank. Her clothing was simple and dark. Her face showed neither anger nor fear. She identified herself as Defense Coordinator Allen, speaking for Earth's unified government. "You have entered human territory," she said calmly. "We ask you to leave peacefully. This is your final warning." The message ended. No threats followed. No display of military might. No demands for negotiation. Just those simple words repeating every 30 minutes. Krell's officers had stopped paying attention to it days ago. The insected Krith warriors clicked their mandibles in what passed for laughter among their species. The crystalline Velen observers pulsed with colors that indicated amusement. Even the normally cautious Tauran mammals seemed relaxed, their fur laying flat against their bodies instead of bristling with concern. "Final warning," one of the Krith commanders buzzed through the translation device. "They speak as if they command a fleet. Our scouts counted 17 orbital stations, all civilian, no military vessels beyond atmospheric patrol craft." "Perhaps they believe words alone will save them," suggested a Velen, its crystalline form refracting the bridge lights into rainbow patterns. "Some species develop elaborate verbal traditions when they lack physical strength." Krell allowed himself a rare smile. His reptilian features did not express emotion easily, but his officers knew what it meant when their admiral showed teeth. "We gave them the courtesy of time. We maintained position at the edge of their system for 10 full cycles. They chose not to evacuate. They chose not to surrender. Now they send warnings." The flagship trembled slightly as the massive Armada adjusted course. They had been holding position near the orbit of the 8th planet, the gas giant the humans called Neptune. Now they moved inward toward the inhabited worlds. The formation was perfect. 6 species working as one, each contributing their unique strengths to the coalition. The Krith provided numbers and biological weapons. The Velen brought energy shield technology. The Tauran supplied tactical analysis. The Whisperers, beings of contained gas and energy, offered their ability to infiltrate and disable electronic systems. The Halcyon, Krell's own people, commanded the fleet with centuries of conquest experience. "Coordinates locked on the boundary they claimed," reported the navigation officer. "We will cross their marked territory in 18 minutes." Krell nodded. The humans had transmitted coordinates forming a sphere around their sun. They called it their territory, as if drawing lines in space meant anything without the power to defend them. The coalition had laughed at such presumption. Territory belonged to those who could hold it. "All ships report ready status," confirmed his tactical officer. "Weapons charged to 30%, shields at full strength. The fleet awaits your command, Admiral." "Maintain current speed. Weapons to 50% as we cross their boundary. I want them to see we respect their warning enough to prepare, even if we do not obey it." The bridge crew worked efficiently. Krell had served with most of them for years. They had taken 12 worlds together. Earth would be the 13th, a lucky number in Halcyon culture. After this, the coalition would control the entire outer spiral arm. Resources, territory, and strategic position would all belong to them. A junior officer approached, his scales showing the pale green of youth and uncertainty. "Admiral, perhaps we should consider their warning more seriously. We know nothing of their true capabilities. What if this is a trap? Krell turned his full attention to the young officer. The entire bridge fell silent. You see their cities on the scans. Millions of lights, millions of lives, all continuing as if we do not exist. Does that seem like a civilization preparing for war? They sent one woman with one message. No fleet mobilizes to meet us. No weapons platforms activate. They do nothing but talk. The junior officer's scales darkened to a more submissive blue-gray. Yes, Admiral, forgive my concern. Concern is valuable, fear is not. Remember the difference. The minutes passed. The Armada crossed the invisible line the humans had drawn in space. Nothing happened. No weapons fired. No ships appeared. The human transmission continued its loop, unchanged and unconcerned. Krell almost felt disappointed. He had expected something. Perhaps a desperate charge by their primitive craft, maybe an emotional plea for mercy. Instead, they simply repeated their warning as if speaking to children who refused to listen. Passing the orbit of their seventh planet, navigation reported. 6 planets remain between us and Earth. No resistance encountered. All ships report normal operations. The Admiral settled back into his command chair. This would be recorded as one of the easiest conquests in Coalition history. He imagined the humans in their cities below, still believing their words carried weight, still thinking their warning meant something. They would learn differently soon enough. Admiral, the weapons officer's voice carried a note of confusion. I am showing fluctuations in the primary cannon array. Compensate and continue. Sir, all weapons are showing the same fluctuation, power levels dropping across all systems. Krell leaned forward. Explain. I cannot, sir. The weapons are receiving full power from our cores, but output is decreasing, now at 40%, 35, 30. Across the bridge, alerts began chiming. Other officers reported similar problems. The lights dimmed slightly, then returned to full strength. Life support remained stable. Engines functioned normally, but every offensive system was losing power. Coalition fleet reports identical issues, communications announced. All 847 ships experiencing weapons degradation. No external attack detected. No energy signatures. No projectiles. Nothing. Krell stood. The weapons displays showed a cascade of failures spreading through systems that had worked perfectly moments before. His claws scraped against the command table's surface. Find the source now. But even as he gave the order, he felt the first touch of something he had not experienced in many years. The slightest edge of doubt. On the screen, Defense Coordinator Allen's message began again. You have entered human territory. We ask you to leave peacefully. This is your final warning. This time, nobody laughed. Engineering teams from all 6 species worked frantically. The Coalition's greatest scientific minds studied readings that made no sense. Their weapons had not broken. They had not been damaged. They had been changed. A Tauran scientist brought the first concrete findings to Krell 3 hours after the failures began. Her fur stood on end, a sign of extreme agitation among her people. She placed a sample container on his command table. Inside lay a piece of metal that should have been part of a plasma accelerator. Admiral, we disassembled the primary cannon to examine the components. This is what we found. Krell studied the metal. It looked normal, standard military-grade alloy, exactly what should be there. I see nothing wrong. Look closer, sir. Use the molecular scanner. He activated the device. The metal structure appeared on his screen, showing the precise arrangement of atoms. The Tauran scientist overlaid a comparison image of what the metal should look like. The difference was subtle but absolute. The composition is identical, she explained, her voice shaking. Same elements, same proportions, but the molecular bonds have been rearranged. The metal cannot conduct the energy required for weapons operation. It can still support the structure. It can still handle normal power loads, but it cannot be used to harm anyone. That is impossible. We would have detected energy signatures during such a transformation. We would have seen something. We detected nothing, Admiral. No energy, no radiation, no quantum fluctuations. The change simply happened. Every weapon on every ship shows the same alteration. Even our handheld weapons. Everything that could be used to cause harm has been molecularly redesigned to be unable to do so. Krell dismissed her and called an emergency council with the other species commanders. They gathered via holographic projection, each floating above a designated platform on his bridge. The Krith Queen's image flickered with agitation. The Velen crystal pulsed dark red. The Whisperer's gaseous form swirled in tight, angry spirals. "This is clearly advanced technology," the Krith Queen buzzed. "The humans possess capabilities our intelligence failed to detect. We should withdraw and reassess." "We should destroy them before they do worse," countered a Velen commander. "If they can alter our weapons, what else might they change? Our life support, our engines." "They have only disabled our weapons," noted a Whisperer, its translated voice carrying an odd calm. "They could have killed us all. They chose not to. This suggests they meant their warning literally. They wish us to leave." Krell listened to the debate growing more heated. Commanders who had been confident days ago now spoke of retreat. Others wanted to ram their ships into Earth cities, using the vessels themselves as weapons. The coalition was fracturing. A new transmission interrupted their argument. Defense Coordinator Allen appeared on every screen simultaneously. Her expression remained unchanged, her voice still calm. "We have temporarily disabled your weapons," she said. "This is not an attack. It is a demonstration. You came to our territory with intent to conquer. We have shown you that we can defend ourselves. Please turn your ships around. Leave our system. No harm will come to you. You have 1 hour to decide." The transmission ended. The council erupted in shouting. Krell silenced them with a gesture. "We will test their claim," he announced. "Send a scout group forward. 12 ships, volunteers only. If the humans can truly defend Earth, we will see it. If this is a bluff supported by one trick, we will discover that too." 12 ships broke formation. Brave commanders who believed retreat was cowardice led their vessels toward the inner system. Krell watched their progress carefully. They passed the orbit of Mars without incident. They continued toward Earth, their passive sensors recording everything. The reports came back clean. Earth's orbital space contained exactly what intelligence had shown. Satellites, space stations, construction platforms. Nothing that looked like a weapon. Nothing that appeared military. The scouts detected life signs in the billions on the planet's surface. Cities glowed with light. Air traffic moved between continents. Humans went about their daily existence as if an invasion fleet was not approaching. "The planet appears defenseless," the lead scout reported. "We see no military installations, no hidden weapons platforms. Their satellites are commercial and scientific in nature. If they possess the technology that disabled our weapons, we cannot detect it." Krell made his decision. "All ships resume approach. Full speed toward Earth. If they disabled our weapons once, our engineers will find a way to restore them. We have superior numbers, superior technology, and superior experience. One defensive trick does not equal victory." The Armada accelerated. 847 ships moved in perfect formation, closing the distance to their target. Engineers worked frantically to understand the molecular changes, hopping to reverse them. Some reported minor successes, managing to restore partial function to small systems. They reached Earth's orbital space within hours. The planet hung before them, beautiful and vulnerable. Krell prepared orders for the occupation. Ground forces would deploy first. They would secure the major cities. Resistance would be minimal. Humans had no weapons that could threaten them now. Then, without warning, every ship stopped moving. Not from engine failure. The power cores still functioned. The drives still produced thrust. But the ships no longer responded to navigation commands. They hung motionless in space, arranged in a perfect sphere around Earth. Krell's flagship could not move forward, backward, or turn. They simply floated, locked in position by forces they could not measure or understand. "Report," Krell demanded. "All systems functional, Admiral," his chief engineer replied, her voice breaking with stress. "Engines operating normally, but we have lost all inertial control. Something is holding us in place, something that does not register on any of our sensors." Before anyone could respond, a third transmission arrived. Defense Coordinator Allen appeared again. This time, something in her expression had shifted. Not anger, not satisfaction, just a deep, patient sadness, like a teacher disappointed in a student who refused to learn. "You were warned," she said softly. "Now we will show you why." Defense Coordinator Allen sat in what appeared to be an ordinary office. Behind her, windows showed a city skyline. Humans walked on streets below, completely calm. Children played in a visible park. Nothing suggested a planet under siege. "3 generations ago," Allen began, "human scientists were conducting experiments with quantum entanglement. They were trying to send information faster than light. They failed at that goal, but they discovered something else, something that changed everything we understood about reality." She paused, letting her words sink in. Across 847 ships, millions of coalition personnel watched in silence. "We found a way to manipulate the fundamental forces that hold matter together, not through energy weapons or brute force, through understanding, through becoming part of the quantum field that connects all things. Those satellites you saw orbiting our planet are not weapons. They are nodes in a network that extends throughout our entire solar system. Through them, we can touch anything within this space. Rearrange it, change it, control it." A Velen commander interrupted the transmission with a broadcast of his own. "You claim power beyond measurement. Prove it." Allen nodded as if she had expected the challenge. "Very well, watch your screens." Every ship in the Armada rotated 180 degrees simultaneously, not through their own engine power. They simply turned all at once, with perfect synchronization. Then they rotated back to their original positions. "That was gentle," Allen said. "Now observe." The entire fleet moved into a new formation. They arranged themselves into a perfect sphere, each ship exactly the same distance from Earth. The movement took 10 seconds. Mathematical precision that would have required hours of coordination happened in less time than it took to give a command. "On Admiral Krell's flagship specifically," Allen continued, "we will now demonstrate individual control." Krell felt the gravity increase. His body pressed harder into his chair. His scales compressed against his bones. The pressure built to 1.5 times normal, uncomfortable but not dangerous. His crew struggled to stand. Then, exactly 10 seconds later, gravity returned to normal. Every screen on his ship suddenly displayed technical schematics, detailed blueprints of systems that were classified at the highest levels, secret weapon designs, classified engine configurations, even the location of the Admiral's private quarters and the contents of his personal safe. "We know everything about your ships," Allen explained. "We have scanned every molecule, mapped every system, read every computer file. We could tell you things about your own vessels that you have forgotten, and what we know, we can change." She leaned forward slightly. For the first time, her expression showed something beyond calm patience. It showed genuine care, almost maternal concern. "We could destroy you, all of you. In an instant, we could disassemble every ship into individual atoms. We could teleport every living being aboard into our sun. We could rearrange the molecules of your bodies into something else entirely. We have the power to do 1,000 terrible things that your species have never imagined, but we will not do any of them. Do you understand why?" No one answered. The coalition commanders remained silent, waiting. Because that is not who we are. Humanity spent 10,000 years learning to kill each other. We became very good at it. We developed weapons that could destroy our entire planet. We came so close to using them. Then we made a choice. We decided that having the power to destroy was not the same as needing to use it. We chose to be gardeners instead of warriors, protectors instead of conquerors. A Tauran commander found her voice. Then, why develop such terrible capabilities at all? Because choosing peace only matters if you have the option to choose war. We developed this technology to defend ourselves, not to attack others. For 3 generations, we have lived quietly in our system. We sent no colony ships to claim other worlds. We made no demands of our neighbors. We simply wanted to be left alone. You did not respect that wish. You came here to take what was ours. So now we demonstrate what we are capable of. Hopping you will understand and leave peacefully. Krell spoke for the first time since the demonstration began. And if we refuse, if we choose to fight with whatever means remain to us. Alan's expression softened with something like pity. Then we will do what we must to protect ourselves, but we will do it in the most humane way possible. We will not kill you. We will not torture you. We will simply remove your ability to harm us and send you home. Every member of your crew will survive. Every ship will be returned to your territory. But you will go back knowing that you encountered a species you cannot defeat, cannot threaten, and cannot conquer. She stood up. The city behind her continued its peaceful existence. Humans went about their lives unafraid. You have 1 hour to decide. Turn your ships around and leave. This encounter will never be spoken of again. We will not pursue you. We will not claim victory. We will not tell the galaxy that you failed. You can return home and say you chose not to invade after reconnaissance showed it was not worth the effort. Your pride can remain intact. Your people need never know what happened here. Or you can refuse and we will be forced to take defensive action. The choice is entirely yours. The transmission ended. Krell sat in his command chair, his mind processing impossible information. Around him, his crew waited for orders. Across the fleet, commanders argued with each other. Some demanded immediate retreat. Others refused to accept defeat. The coalition was breaking apart. Admiral, his communication officer said quietly, "We have 47 minutes remaining." Krell looked at his tactical display. 847 ships held motionless by invisible forces, weapons that could not fire, systems they could not control, and somewhere below on that peaceful planet, humans with the power to rearrange matter itself. He thought of his home, his family, the crews under his command who trusted him to lead them. The weight of responsibility pressed down harder than the gravity demonstration had. "Open a channel to all coalition commanders," he said. "We need to vote." The vote was close. 31 commanders wanted to retreat. 30 wanted to try one final attack. The deciding votes came from the Whisperers, who argued that survival outweighed pride. The coalition would leave. But Krell could not accept it. In his 60 years of service, he had never retreated, never surrendered, never let an enemy dictate terms. His scales darkened with rage as he listened to the other commanders agree to withdrawal. They were giving up. They were accepting humiliation from a species that had barely left its own moon. "There must be a way," he told his chief engineer after the vote concluded. "One weapon, one system we can restore. If we can fire even once, we can show them we are not helpless." The engineer, a female named Sala, looked at her admiral with scales showing deep purple concern. "Sir, we have analyzed the molecular changes. They are permanent. We cannot reverse them without facilities that would take months to construct. Even then, we are not certain it is possible." "Find a way, that is an order." Sala hesitated, then nodded. She returned to her station and began working. Krell knew it was foolish. The humans had demonstrated power beyond anything the coalition possessed, but accepting defeat without firing a single shot went against everything he was, everything his culture valued. 20 minutes later, Sala returned. Her scales showed colors Krell had never seen on her before, a mix of fear and desperate hope. "Admiral, we found something. One of our lance weapons. We can bypass the damaged molecular structure if we reroute power from life support. It will only work once. The weapon will destroy itself, but we might be able to fire a single shot." "Do it." "Sir, if the humans respond as they threatened, they might not show mercy again. We fired at them. That changes everything." "Do it now, or face charges of refusing orders in combat." Sala's scales went pale. She returned to her station. Krell watched his tactical display as engineers worked frantically. Power rerouted from non-essential systems. The lance weapon slowly came online, its charge building from 0 to 10%, 15%, 20%. Other ships in the coalition began moving away, their inertial control restored by the humans to allow retreat. They were actually leaving, abandoning the invasion, running from humans who had not killed a single coalition member. The weapon reached full charge. Krell targeted one of Earth's major cities. Millions of lights, millions of lives. They would understand what it meant to threaten the Halcyon people. "Fire!" The lance beam erupted from his ship, a concentrated stream of energy capable of burning through planetary shields and vaporizing city blocks. It traveled outward, racing toward Earth at near-light speed. It made it 47 meters before stopping. The beam simply froze in space, hanging there like a solid object. Krell watched in disbelief as the energy began flowing backward. It returned to his ship, entering the weapon, flooding into the power grid. Every light on his flagship brightened to blinding intensity. Then the systems overloaded and everything went dark. Emergency lighting activated. Krell stood in the dim red glow, his tactical displays dead. Through the viewport, he could see other ships moving away. His own vessel remained motionless. Defense Coordinator Allen appeared on the emergency screens, the only systems that still functioned. Her expression had changed. No longer patient, no longer understanding, just deeply, profoundly disappointed. "You were warned, you were shown mercy. You chose violence." Krell opened his mouth to respond, but she continued. "Humanity does not wish to harm you, Admiral Krell, but we will protect ourselves. Watch what happens when you force us to act." His ship began to come apart. Not violently, not explosively. Panel by panel, system by system, the flagship deconstructed itself. Krell watched sections of hull simply detach and float away in organized fashion. His tactical station disassembled into neat piles of components. The floor beneath his feet dissolved into constituent materials that arranged themselves in perfect geometric patterns. He tried to run but found himself unable to move. His crew stood frozen, unable to do anything but watch their ship methodically taken apart. They should have been dead. Exposed to vacuum, they should have suffocated in seconds. But Krell found he could breathe. He could feel something protecting him, an invisible barrier maintaining pressure and atmosphere around his body. Within minutes, the flagship ceased to exist. Krell and his crew floated in space, each surrounded by a personal shield they could not see or feel. Their ship had become a cloud of organized debris, metals separated by type, polymers sorted by composition, electronics disassembled to individual components, everything labeled and cataloged. Then Krell felt the sensation of movement without motion. The universe seemed to twist. When his vision cleared, he stood in the cargo bay of another ship. His entire crew materialized around him, 3,000 individuals appearing simultaneously. They were aboard a Tauran vessel, whose commander stared at them in shock. "Your crew is safe, Admiral," Allen's voice came through the ship's speakers. "We scanned each of you, analyzed your biology, corrected genetic disorders, healed old injuries, removed disease. You are all healthier now than when you arrived. We did this to show you that our power is matched by our compassion. But this is also your final demonstration. Any ship that does not begin retreating immediately will be similarly disassembled. Your crews will be teleported directly to your homeworlds." Your ships will remain here as monuments to this day." Krell felt his chest. A scar he had carried for 30 years was gone. His vision was clearer. Small pains he had lived with so long he forgot they existed had vanished. The humans had not just spared him, they had healed him. Command of the Coalition fell to Commander Bryn of the Tauren. Her voice came through on all channels. "This is Commander Bryn assuming fleet authority. All ships begin immediate retreat. Full speed to the jump point. This invasion is over." 846 ships turned and accelerated away from Earth. No one argued. No one protested. They had seen what happened to those who defied the humans' warning. Krell stood among his displaced crew, watching through the viewport as Earth grew smaller. Somewhere on that planet, Defense Coordinator Alan returned to her peaceful life. And somewhere in the debris field, his flagship existed as scattered components, a reminder of the price of pride. The Coalition fleet had nearly reached the jump point when their long-range sensors detected something massive emerging from faster-than-light travel. Commander Bryn ordered an immediate scan. The results made her fur stand completely on end. 2,400 warships appeared at the edge of the solar system. Their design was unfamiliar to most Coalition species, but the Whisperers recognized them immediately. These ships belonged to the Dominion, an empire from the galactic core that had conquered 47 star systems in the last century. They did not negotiate. They did not take prisoners who resisted. They simply crushed opposition and moved on. Bryn received a transmission from the Dominion Fleet Master, a being named Horvath. His species resembled humans somewhat, but larger and more heavily built. His face appeared on her screen, showing sharp teeth in what might have been a smile. "Coalition forces, this is Fleet Master Horvath of the Dominion 4th Fleet. We monitored your pathetic attempt to invade the human planet. We watched them disable your weapons and humiliate you into retreat. Now we will show you how a real empire handles defiant primitives. Transmit all data on human defensive capabilities immediately, and we will allow your ships to leave unharmed." Bryn felt her command crew looking at her, waiting for orders. The smart choice was obvious. Give the Dominion what they wanted. Save her people. Let the humans face a threat they might not be able to defeat. The Dominion had technology more advanced than the Coalition. They had numbers triple what the Coalition brought. If anyone could challenge humanity's power, it would be them. But Bryn thought about what the humans had done. They could have killed the entire Coalition fleet. Instead, they disabled weapons and asked for peaceful retreat. They healed Krell even after he tried to attack their planet. They showed mercy to enemies who came to conquer them. That kind of compassion deserved something in return. "Dominion Fleet, this is Commander Bryn. I refuse your demand. We will not provide intelligence against the humans." Horvath laughed, a harsh sound that made Bryn's fur ripple with instinctive fear. "Then you are fools. Watch and learn how the Dominion deals with primitive species." Bryn made her decision quickly. She opened a channel to Earth. "Defense Coordinator Alan, this is Commander Bryn of the Tauren. A Dominion fleet has entered your system. 2,400 warships. They are far more dangerous than we were. I wanted to warn you." Alan's face appeared on screen. She showed no surprise, no fear. "Thank you, Commander Bryn. We appreciate the warning, but it was unnecessary. We detected the Dominion fleet before they completed their jump. We know what they are. We know what they have done to other species." "Can you stop them? There are so many ships." "Please remain at the jump point as witnesses. What happens next needs to be remembered and shared across the galaxy. The Dominion must learn the same lesson you did, but they will require a different demonstration." The Coalition fleet held position, watching as the Dominion Armada accelerated toward Earth. Unlike the Coalition's cautious approach, Horvath drove his ships at maximum speed. He ignored the boundary markers. When Defense Coordinator Alan's standard warning transmission reached him, he had it played on all Dominion channels so his crews could laugh at it. You have entered human territory. We ask you to leave peacefully. This is your final warning. Horvath responded by ordering his weapons crews to destroy the warning beacon that transmitted the message. A dozen energy beams converged on the small satellite. It vaporized in a flash of light. That is what the Dominion thinks of your warnings, humans, Horvath broadcast on all frequencies. Surrender your planet now, or we will burn your cities until you beg for mercy. The Dominion fleet raced through the outer system without slowing. They passed Neptune, then Uranus, then Saturn. No response came from Earth. No defensive fleets emerged. The Coalition had disabled weapons, but the Dominion ships maintained full combat capability. Bryn watched nervously as they approached Jupiter's orbit. "Why are the humans not defending themselves?" asked her tactical officer. "I do not know. Perhaps the Dominion is too strong. Perhaps humanity cannot defeat such numbers." But Bryn did not truly believe that. She had seen what humans could do. They had held 847 ships motionless with invisible forces. They had rearranged matter at the molecular level. They had demonstrated power beyond anything the Coalition understood. If they were not acting, it was because they chose not to act yet. The Dominion reached Earth orbit in record time. Horvath positioned his fleet in attack formation, every ship oriented toward the planet below. 2,400 vessels, enough firepower to crack a planet's crust. "Humans, you have one final chance," Horvath announced. "Transmit your unconditional surrender or face extinction." Silence answered him. The peaceful planet continued its rotation. Cities glowed with light. Life continued as if an invasion fleet was not about to attack. "Very well. All ships target major population centers. Prepare to fire on my command. Maximum yield. I want the humans to see their world burning." The Coalition watched helplessly from their distant position. Bryn wanted to help somehow, but what could she do? The Dominion would destroy her ships as easily as they planned to destroy Earth. "All weapons charged, Fleet Master," reported Horvath's tactical officer. "Ready to fire." "Then let us teach these primitives what happens when you defy the Dominion. All ships, fire at will." 2,400 warships discharged their weapons simultaneously. Energy beams, missiles, kinetic rounds, and exotic weapons the Coalition had never seen before. Enough destructive force to sterilize a dozen planets hurled toward Earth. Bryn closed her eyes, unable to watch. The Tauran did not believe in gods, but she found herself hoping that somehow the humans could survive this. When she opened her eyes again, she saw something impossible. Every projectile, every beam, every weapon discharge had stopped. They hung motionless in space, frozen between the Dominion fleet and Earth. Thousands of weapons, all halted in mid-flight. The sight was beautiful in a terrible way, like deadly fireworks paused at their peak. Then slowly, everything began moving backward. The weapons returned to their sources at twice their original velocity. 2,400 ships were struck by their own attacks at double strength. Shields collapsed across the Dominion fleet. Armor cracked. Hull plates buckled, but nothing exploded. No lives were lost. The ships were damaged but not destroyed, disabled but not dead. Horvath stared at his screens in disbelief. Impossible. No species has this capability. No technology can redirect that much energy. Defense Coordinator Allen appeared on every screen in both fleets. Her expression showed something the Coalition had not seen before. Not anger, but a deep sadness mixed with determination. "Fleet Master Horvath, you were warned. You ignored that warning. You chose to attack a peaceful planet with enough force to kill billions. We will now show you what humanity does to those who threaten genocide." The Dominion ships began to change. Horvath watched his flagship transform around him. Weapon systems did not merely disable, they restructured. His tactical displays showed the metamorphosis happening simultaneously across the entire fleet. Energy cannons became industrial fabricators. Missile bays transformed into cargo holds, military-grade armor reshaped into civilian hull plating designed for trade vessels. "No," Horvath whispered. "No, you cannot do this." But the transformation continued. Military computers rewrote themselves, erasing weapons targeting protocols and replacing them with navigation data for trade routes. Ship identification codes changed from military designations to merchant registration numbers. Within 10 minutes, 2,400 warships had become 2,400 cargo vessels. Alan's voice remained calm throughout. "We have converted your fleet because we believe in second chances. The galaxy does not need more warships. It needs builders. It needs traders. It needs people willing to create instead of destroy. Your crews are unharmed. Your ships are functional, but you will never use them for conquest again." Horvath tried to speak, but his communication systems had been repurposed. When he finally found a working channel, his words came out as pure rage. "You think you have won. The Dominion will send 100 fleets. We will bring 1,000 times this number. We will burn your world to ash." "No, you will not," Alan replied. She gestured off-screen and something appeared in her hand. Horvath recognized it immediately, his personal sidearm which should have been secured at his belt. She held it gently, then opened her hand. The weapon had transformed into a flower, not just any flower, but a species from Horvath's homeworld, a species that had gone extinct 200 years ago due to industrial pollution. "We have been watching the Dominion for a very long time, Fleet Master. We know what your empire has destroyed. We have preserved samples of every extinct species from every world you conquered. We have been growing them on protected planets, keeping them safe, waiting for the day when they could be returned. We could restore everything your empire has destroyed. We could bring back what you thought was lost forever." Horvath stared at the flower. He had not seen one since childhood. His grandmother used to grow them in a small garden before the factories came. The memory hit him harder than any weapon could have. Alan continued, "You have a choice now. You can return to the Dominion in your converted ships and face their punishment for failure, or you can accept our offer to help rebuild what was destroyed. We will work with any of you who choose peace. But understand this. If you return and the Dominion sends more fleets, we will do more than convert ships. We will make it impossible for your empire to wage war ever again." From the Coalition fleet, Commander Bryn watched in amazement. Across the quantum communication channels, she heard Dominion captains arguing. Some sided with Horvath, swearing vengeance. Others, seeing their ships transformed and the flower in Alan's hand, began questioning everything they had believed about the Dominion's glory. "Commander Bryn," Alan said, addressing her directly, "what you witnessed today must be shared with the galaxy. 2 fleets came to Earth seeking conquest. Both learned that humanity cannot be defeated. But more importantly, both learned that humanity does not wish to harm those who mean them no harm. We ask that you carry this message to other species. Tell them that humans remain in our system by choice, not weakness. Tell them we offer friendship to all who approach in peace. But also tell them that we will defend ourselves absolutely against any threat." Bryn found her voice. "We will share your message, Defense Coordinator, but I have a request. May we establish a small station at the edge of your system, a place where species can come to learn from you, to trade with you, to understand what you have built here." Alan considered this. One station, small, scientific and diplomatic purposes only, no weapons, no military presence. Can you accept those terms? "We can, and we will ensure any species that visits understands the rules." Across the Dominion fleet, ships began making their choices. Some captains, loyal to Horvath, prepared to return home despite their converted vessels. But others, tired of endless conquest, asked to stay. They requested permission to join humanity's effort to restore what the Dominion had destroyed. Alan accepted them all. "Anyone who chooses peace is welcome. We will teach you what we know. We will help you build instead of destroy. But you must truly commit to this path. We will be watching." The galaxy changed that day. News of the two fleets spread quickly. Some species scoffed, claiming it was propaganda. Others sent small diplomatic missions to investigate. A few aggressive empires dismissed the reports and planned their own invasions. But those species encountered the same patient warning, the same demonstration of overwhelming power coupled with absolute restraint. One by one, they learned what the Coalition and the Dominion had discovered. Humanity could not be conquered, but humanity also could not be made into enemies if approached with peaceful intent. Earth remained unchanged. Cities continued their peaceful existence. Humans went about their lives, secure in the knowledge that they had chosen wisely generations ago. They had developed the power to destroy, but the wisdom to heal instead. Defense Coordinator Alan stood in her garden, surrounded by flowers from 100 extinct species. Each bloom represented a world saved, a species preserved, a choice made in favor of life instead of death. More arrived each week as former Dominion officers brought samples they had hidden away, small acts of preservation in an empire dedicated to destruction. A young human approached, one of the scientists who maintained the quantum network that defended Earth. Coordinator, we are receiving 3 new requests for diplomatic contact. All 3 species heard about what happened here. They want to learn from us. Alan smiled. Welcome them, show them our gardens, let them see what we have chosen to build, and if they come in peace, teach them everything we know. The scientist left to prepare. Alan returned her attention to the flowers, each one a reminder that the greatest power was not the ability to destroy. It was the ability to destroy and the wisdom to choose differently. That was humanity's true strength. That was the message they offered to the galaxy. And slowly, carefully, other species were beginning to understand.